one of the most respected bareback riders in the USCA. I don't know, my kid brother. 9 times the NFR. Richie had.
Okay, really, thanks for having me. I mean, it'd be weird if you didn't.
You said most respected in the locker room. I was like thinking, does that mean like oldest, or how does one like be most? He's definitely the oldest, but are you? You got to be close.
RC.
Oh,
RC. He's got me about like 2 years, and I've got about like 2 months. So second oldest. Most NFRs though.
What's the second?
5.
So 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty big difference when we talk about the experience that's happening in that arena, right? What's going on? How are you feeling this year? Like is it different from other years?
I'm still really nervous every day. I wake up like 6. My heart's just like
pounding.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarities. I think every year it gets easier in certain ways, but at the end of the day, like every day ends the same place in the locker room, putting your rigging on one of the best horses in the world for all the money. Like that kind of, you can distract yourself all day long with signings and obligations, but at the end of the day, that's where you want to show up. And I think you just get better at using your energy so that when you get there, you're ready to go. And 10 days it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, I mean, you try not to get down when the way I've always viewed it is everybody gets here and they get dealt 10 cards, and it's how you play them. And this year's cards suck, but I got a good one tonight. So I don't know. I'm having fun.
Richie, real quick, remind me on the timeline. Did you win the American before qualifying for your first NFR?
Yeah.
So at your first NFR, your first appearance, I'm assuming there was a lot of hype around that, and so like the signings and the extracurriculars, so to speak, you were probably involved in pretty heavily there.
And I didn't know how to say no.
Yeah.
Like at that point.
So what is like your energy use? Like, what are some of the lessons that you've learned between being bombarded that first one until now?
There's a few years in there where I basically just said no to everything. But like it's as I get older, I'm like, this is an important part of it. This is, a really part of the experience for the fans. It's great for our brands, especially with like the change in social media since the first time I came here. Like you're missing out on a huge opportunity if you're not promoting yourself out here. Like the algorithm is in our favor. This is like the time to be pushing yourself and what you do in your brand. So 2014 was I'll win the American, then I got to make the NFR because I don't want to be the one hit wonder. Like
pressure's on, baby.
Get that done.
How old were you, Rich?
21.
Okay. And
a disaster. But it was so fun. Like I don't know, I remember I ate lunch in a taxi cab every single day. Like a cold sandwich from the convention center, got in the taxi cab, went back to the room, shower, say hey to Doug, go to the rodeo every single day. Like I was slammed. And you just learn how to say yes to things and no to things and schedule it right. Because you give a lot doing the signing. So you don't realize the toll it takes on exhausting. You when you got to show up the best version of you for every person that walks by. Which is why I don't have to be the best version of me with you guys.
Or one of us will be worse. So you'll look better.
We're glad you said yes to us at least.
Well, I think there's a learning curve to there's an obvious learning curve to the riding aspect of this, but the professional side as well. You showed up the first year and you didn't know that you could say no. You thought it was expected that these people are asking me, I have to go do it. And then a couple of years in, you look at everybody else and it's like, why are you guys so fresh? Why are you not exhausted? We haven't been doing all that. There's a business to this. Like there's a rhyme and a reason they go to signings and hang out with the fans. And like that's one of the most important parts of our sport, I think, is the fans get to be next to their heroes. They can come meet you guys. You can't do that in the NFL or the MLB or NHL. You guys are real people they can interact with.
Yeah.
And they get to what's maybe this year or years prior, what's one of your favorite like interactions you've had with a fan at one of those signings?
honestly, I don't know if this kid was a fan, but I was on the I
You're
was on the
heckling.
monorail over to the convention, and kid's got his gear bag and his helmet on there, and with his mom and dad, and sits down. So I was like, "You Red Bulls?" Because I got the junior NFR going on, and he's like, "Yeah." And he looked at me, and I was like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Brecken." And I was like, "You came to the cinch booth yesterday," and it was like I signed 3 packs at the cinch booth. That
Yeah,
it was
That's
slammed.
150.
And he was
200
like,
autographs.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know why. I think I remember him because my niece is named Brecken, but like it was still cool. Like he like lit up that I remembered that, and then I get to talking, and he's, that when you're actually like he's gonna remember that and maybe go ride his bull because he's amped now, like that. I remember that, like those moments when I started, and you like set your bag down next to Casey Field or something, and you're like, he said hi to me.
What a dick.
This is wild.
But that's cool, man.
No, I don't know. There's lots, when you least expect it, somebody would run up like, Richie, really, I want a picture. And like, you also signed so many autographs for people. They're like, what, do you ride tonight? It's like, yep, every night.
The next 8 nights. Yeah.
I've never met a calf roper before. Never been one before. But I mean, they're here, they're learning, and they're showing up for us. So it's cool. Like you get to educate too, which is fun.
That is cool, man. And it goes a long way for people when you sit there and take the time to explain it. I was sitting here at the watch party last night, and this guy came up to me and he said, the calving is so cool. And I said, what? He said, the calving. And I looked up and I was, the calf roping is, that's what it's called. I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, what's going on? He said, I just think it looks really cool. So I explained it all to him. And then we ended up going through every event in rodeo for like 15 minutes over there. At the end, he's like, well, thanks for explaining that all to me, and just walked on. But it's cool to get to have those interactions and potentially build a fan out of someone that may have regularly not been one. Yeah,
definitely. Well, I think a big part of it is giving. There's so many of us, but it's like giving an individual for them to root for, because you have a connection that it's so much easier to watch and care when you're like, oh, I know a guy that does this, or I met a guy that does this.
Yeah,
it's fun.
You were talking about getting nervous still in the arena. I want to kind of go back to that first year and talk about the evolution over 9 years in how everything from competing to your preparation, mentally and physically, has evolved from year one. And I know year one you showed up and you were very nervous, but that was probably one of the best NFRs you ever had.
Yeah, definitely top 2.
Do you think that maybe the not having any experience and not knowing what was going to happen and just knowing you had to just go do the thing that got you there?
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing it right now. You're like Bradley Miller.
I was going to say,
Weston,
man, it's
Timberman,
identical. Yeah,
Cooper Cook. They're just showing up,
lights
having
out.
So much fun. I don't think they've gone to bed yet, and they're still like, that's just what it does. That first time is so special. Like, and that's like, I get so pumped for the rookies, because there's just, you're never going to get another one that's your first one, and they're all doing it just right. Yeah, I don't know. I wish it's like, I think as a competitor, the nerves and everything are something you like. It's what makes you good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's not, what people don't get is like, it's not a comfortable place. It's very uncomfortable to have that much anxiety and energy in your body for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It's one thing when you're rodeoing and it's just, there's less riding on it. You don't get that buildup. And here it's like, ooh, like every single day, whether I won't even feel nervous, and I'm just like hitting out, just a faucet down, like I'm not even doing anything.
Yeah.
It's not even with Forrest, But I think that's like everyone here has learned how to deal with their version of that, because it hits everybody different. And it's, something me and Paige talk about every morning. Like, how you feeling? Where's your head at? What did it, not how did the ride go? How did it feel? Like, what were you, from the time you got taped up to the time you walked out of the arena?
Like your confidence and like how, or like energy levels.
What was your headspace during the ride? Like, were you present, or were you rubbing your belly and patting your head?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it feels like that.
Yeah.
The third round, the
I was
felt
say
like
that probably felt like that. Yeah.
Except somebody was hitting me with a baseball bat the whole time I was trying to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that's such an important part. And I think why there's getting to be such a space for like the mental aspect of this, like the mental training,
Mhm.
because we might all act like we're not dealing with it, but like learning how to master that, that's how you win a gold buckle.
Mhm.
Once you get to that elite level, everybody rides good. It's just how you deal with the highs and the lows. You know what I'm saying? Like you can look at guys that have a steel trap for a mental game, and they're not in the greatest physical shape. They've got really good skills and the steel trap for a brain. $7 million bull
They
rider.
win.
You know, like
It's-
that's how it goes.
At this point, the only difference is what's between the ears.
Well, and I think that's what makes the NFR so special. Like it's 10 days. I mean, if we were to test you guys, you know, over a course of 2 days on any given weekend throughout the year, it could be anybody's ball game.
Yeah.
Everybody's got the capability. Everybody's got the stuff to perform once or twice. But this forces the cream to the top.
Yeah. When you're the most physically demanding sport 10 days in a row, and like we bumped up the stock level this year. We basically got rid of our day off pin, which we always had a hopper around, which was last night. And that was like a toned down TV pin.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome. But like there's horses, like I'm sure you're seeing it, like there's a lot of bobbles that are happening. And it's just the step up in horsepower. That's not like they're still really great rides. I mean, I've dang sure made some, but it's like that's the level we're at now. Like I think it's only getting better. I kind of lost where I was going. Sorry. I blanked out.
You're good. I want to talk about you being the veteran in the locker room now and kind of what those interactions are like with the younger guys. And are they coming to you for advice? Like
They're nerds. No, they're awesome. Really just, like I said, they're just excited to be here. And yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like we're all equals in that room.
But throughout the year, I feel like you've had conversations with these guys at different points.
Like
in time.
Weston came to me in Caleb's school like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Cooper Cook, I've just got to know this year. Bradley, I've known him since he was like 8.
He's still in my head is 8.
He's
Like,
still
every time I think of
8.
Bradley, I think of little Bradley.
An 8-year-old has won 2 rounds at the NFR. Like, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we all do. Like we all need that confirmation sometimes. And like Caleb's in the locker room with us every night. So we direct most of the questions to him because he's 58 and done this forever. But like that's, I don't know. That's I think still a special part is that we all do still help each other. Like if we can, you know, and like last night I walked in and I was like,
Not happy.
yeah, it sucks. Just you put out so much all day, every day. And then like when it doesn't pay you back when you think it should, or you've done everything right and it doesn't. Like I walked in the room and Keenan just looked at me and he was like, don't do it.
No,
you're fine. I was like, okay, give me a beer.
No, man, that's how do you not go down the rabbit hole when things are going like that?
It's hard. Yesterday morning I woke up and I was pretty frustrated. And me and Paige had a big talk, and everyone should get a Paige because she helps me out of most of them. But
a wife, or what does she do?
What's that?
Oh, sorry. Get a wife, or like what else does Paige do?
I don't know about that. get a mental coach.
A mental performance coach. All right. We're gonna have her on too later this week, so we'll get to hear all about it.
She's awesome. But yeah, I was just not happy. Like you come in here, you train so hard. I don't know how many hours you put in the gym and go get on practice horses, and you've checked every single box, and they dealt you those 10 cards and the first 3 are flopped. Like, and everybody else, like somebody's won $90,000 already.
Yeah.
Like, shit. I want some.
Yeah.
But it's hard not, like, how do you, there would be something wrong if I wasn't, like, as a competitor, like a little pissed off about that. But I think that's what, like, we had that conversation. We, you know, kind of just simpled things down for me. So I didn't let it run you get too broad out here and you're thinking about too many things, then it goes way downhill. So just really got focused, and I feel way better. Still haven't won anything, but
Yeah.
but I feel way better.
I think maintaining that like calmness and knowing that if you do trust the fundamentals and just keep doing it, it will pay off. Hopefully, obviously, there's parts of this we cannot control, and you've been drawing in the bottom of the pin, which you have zero control over.
Yeah,
you made great rides every night since or during this. Like you get off and you're like, I can't control that horse, but I did everything I can control. It's like if you can keep doing that, that's what makes you so great. Everyone else starts looking at this rigging's messed up. My glove is squishy. Like nope, everything else but this, but me.
Yeah.
And we talk about that all the time. Like that is what makes that 2 elite percent the elite, because they can just ditch the rest and just go back to the fundamentals no matter what's going on. I'm not really seeing it in the bareback riding, but like Wasey is having a hard time in the bull riding. And you can see he is super duper frustrated, ridden unreal all year. Yeah. And then kind of the same thing, probably put in some work and it is not going how he wanted to. And we were talking last night that he had a bull that we knew if his head was right, he was going to ride that bull all day. And he was this close.
Yeah,
but it's
getting better.
Yeah, like what would you say to a young guy that's struggling like that, even if bareback riding, whatever?
Think back on your favorite 3 rides from the summer. Get back into what were you thinking about when you were doing that? And I guarantee they're going to say nothing.
Nothing. Yes.
And that just tells you that you need to bring it back down, and maybe don't think that's a place that you get to when it starts rolling, that you're just like, don't need to think about it. But when you're trying to start that again, like when you're trying to get something to hold on to, like something to stand on, when you feel like you're lost like that, like get simple, pick the super small things you can control and just start building from there. Like that's what I try to do. Like just find some semblance of like, this is consistent. And I'm going to build off that.
The rough stock events, especially, I mean, they're an art form. They're a judged event, and so it has to be appealing. But you can't force art. It has to flow from you. And so, every single rough stock athlete back there, like when they're riding their best, it feels natural, it feels easy, and it feels flow. But is the moment you try and start to force it to happen, to make it happen, things go downhill fast.
That was beautiful. What poem was that from?
I just wrote it. Thank you.
No, you're right. Sorry, we were getting too serious.
There's something to the reviewing of film though, and or being able to go back to that place. Because just the other day, was it Chase? Chase was like, hey, we're like, you're in a slump. If you're in a slump and you're trying to figure out, I think, where you're at. Chase was like, man, I just go back and think about all the great rides that I've made. And it reminds me that I can still do this, and helps me to go through. And because it's so hard to see that when you're in the middle of it, especially I can only imagine at the NFR, 10 of the best horses in the world, like day in and day out. Yep. You get into 3 or 4 rounds and it's not going your way. And it can get hard to you just get so zoomed in, And so I think that it's important to guys, elite level athletes, say, man, you just got to remember what you're capable of by thinking about good rides.
I mean, I don't know how many times when I get nervous, I just tell myself like, you've spurred Killer Bee. But it's hard to it doesn't feel like that, it's like, but you need to remind yourself of the things you've done and like the experience you do have. Cause sometimes you feel like you're just like never run your hand in a rigging before for the weirdest reason. Like, you remember like all of a sudden
every time I nodded my head, I felt like I'd never been here before, more or less.
But Paul, back to what you said, like the art of it is like, we're all doing the exact same things. Like the fundamentals are the exact same, and but it's all the style and how it's done and the timing, and like some styles fit different horses, and some horses just don't fit a guy's style. Like you've seen even Casey Field do it. Like they'd get him. I feel like I'm not one of those guys. I feel like they don't get me very often. I feel like it's just a very consistent style, which can be good or bad, but it's still like that. That's something I tell myself before I go, when I am nervous, like, you're great, man. Just shut up and do it.
Well, like Paul said, I think every ride he just makes it look too easy.
Yeah.
Like it just looks too easy for him.
If that's my curse, whatever.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That's what you tell yourself. I make this look too easy. I'm good. Oh, that's awesome, man. It's such a mind game, this whole entire sport, and everyone puts all this emphasis into, all these other things, all the things that you can put money into, but you don't even have to hire a coach. You can work on your mental game for free. But we see that
There's a lot of books.
Tons of books, but those
none of these guys can read. That's why
that's the problem. That's the
I
problem.
need somebody to tell it to you.
Yeah.
Audiobooks.
Read
yeah.
this book to me, please.
Yeah.
Is there one with pictures?
But guys, girls, people will avoid free resources because they don't think it's going to be valuable. And we see this all the time. We'll put out free guides, whatever. No one will download it. I put a price tag on it. People love it. It's like, take the free stuff, guys. It's so easy to do. What's that? The YouTube visualization stuff that you took the kids through at or the athletes through at OPA?
What about it?
What is? Can you explain to him what it is and kind of like how you'd set up that whole visualization with them at our school?
Yeah, for sure. So like I had the opportunity at our last OPA to do something that I've been using for a long time, but I hadn't gotten the opportunity to take anybody through it before. But it's like a form of, I would call it like self-hypnosis. Like that's kind of a loose term, but it's like a meditation / visualization type thing where we first stepped, or we sit down and we gathered up in a circle, which was kind of an awkward place to do that anyway, but for the sake of instruction, it worked best. But, just take them through breathing exercises for a few minutes, and then through some relaxation exercises, like some mental imagery. And then we eased into starting to see yourself in the space where you're competing. And what a lot of guys tried to do was visualize themselves at the NFR. And what happens when you're at, not at that level yet, you try and see yourself there, it's really, really difficult. And so I had to cue every single one of them. Hey, let's take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dominate in our minds first. So let's go back to the practice pen, someplace you're comfortable, someplace you've dominated before. And let's see that first. And then after you get the reps in there, then we can start to build on that. And so that's, that was really cool. And they were all.
It was the first time a lot of them were able to
actually see it. Yeah.
That's powerful. Like that takes so much time and money to learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you only get it by experience. And like I said, building those little stepping stones. But if you can, the mind is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember, I forget who said it, but like if you imagine like when you're imagining a bull ride back in the day, like how many times would you have to go redo it because you made a mistake when you were making the bull ride in your mind? This is an imagination, like an imaginary bull, and you're still falling off it. Like, you know what I mean? But like the goal is to figure out, to train your mind to where that's not happening. Like seeing yourself making that perfect ride.
You did that at like a really young age. You
fell off a lot of bulls.
Yeah. I was talking about visualization, and that just worked out perfectly. Yeah. But I remember when you were 16, 17, and you'd wake up and like, I didn't fall asleep till midnight. Dude, we went to bed at like 9:30, 10. Why? He goes, I kept bucking myself off in my head, and so I had to get it right. I envisioned it till I got it right. And you're a young kid then. Yeah. And I think you were just so far ahead on that aspect of the preparation in the mental game and didn't even know it. It's probably because you did have struggle in bull riding so much that you were working on that. And then once you flipped it over to a horse, it was like, oh. Yeah,
it just came easier. But it's funny because I was always really proud of my head game. And then I met Paige and like, I was like, stop, don't. Yes. Like, I don't have room to learn any more about this. I'm good. And like, so she would just like, we'd have conversations. So she wasn't coaching me, And then I'll never forget, I was on the buck and shoots and I'm like, thinking something that she said, and I was like, son of a bitch, she got me. I guess I better ask some questions now.
I did want to ask you, like, what is that dynamic like? So like your wife, the person you're closest to, is a very high level mental performance coach, and you're a very high level athlete. Like, how does that?
She was the highest level athlete.
Well, yeah, exactly,
too,
and she was too. And so like, how does that dynamic work? Do you feel like that's obviously it probably benefits you, but like, is it harder to take her advice because she's your wife, or do you find that easier?
Sometimes, like usually when it goes bad and I get back to my phone and she goes, well, that was bad. I'm like, Yeah.
needed to hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, I want to fight it it's my battle. I want to fight it.
Mhm.
And I know she would just wants to help, but it's like 5 minutes and then I'll listen to you. But let me just be my stubborn self for a minute, like there's a balance, but it's like, she knows, she rodeoed a lot with me this summer. And like, we were having bucking horse conversations too. Like she's watched enough bareback riding and been around it long enough that, I was taking like full advice. Like it might as well have been Caleb and me having these conversations,
that's awesome.
Like I don't think everybody has that. Like it's definitely a big weapon in my arsenal.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing is when it is somebody close to you. Like, I mean, my wife is not a mental performance coach, but there's nothing worse than getting back to my rigging bag and having a text message was like, "What happened?" I was like, "Well, I sucked. That's what happened. I don't know. I
Did
don't
you
know."
not watch?
It would make me so angry. I was like, "What do you mean? What happened?" I was 74. I don't know. But it's like, but then and knowing that there's no intention there, like there's no. She just wants to understand more. And so, but anyway, then having somebody that's such a high level athlete and a coach as your wife can be, I could only imagine like.
Yeah, it has its moments, but it is 99% the best thing ever. The 1% where the 1% that's bad is usually my fault. So
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair.
Absolutely.
That's fair. Last 2 years you've gotten here in last hole, 15th. But like that bubble is the most stressful thing in the world, I feel like, to be on.
Yeah.
How do you fight through that 2 years in a row?
Well, the first year I didn't. That was the big difference.
You got forced into it, kind of.
I just thought I did enough. And so we had Forest. I went to Puyallup. I knew I made Sioux Falls. I didn't enter anything. And like Paige was like, shouldn't you be entering like some of these? And I'm like, no, I'm like 7th in the world. There's no way.
Mhm.
Like I'm good. Nobody rodeos in September. Like all of a sudden it's just like, tick, dropping down. And I'm like, get to Sioux Falls. And I'm like, I have to win money here. All I had to do was make the top 8. And really all that took was getting a score in the second round of Sioux Falls. And you get $2,500 for qualifying to the short round. And that would have just put the bow on it that I beat Casey.
No.
Just get my guts smashed out. Can't ride.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to what Casey does in Mona. That was a stressful night. And he called me that night and he's like, you got me at 1/3 or something. And so I was like, yeah, of course. I did that with my mind. I knew I was going to make it, Coaching's really working out, Paige. I don't have to rodeo anymore. But this year, man, it was frustrating. Like this is the hardest I've ever worked to be here. I've never bubble rodeoed like 2016 I bubble rodeoed. But I went to
that was your 3rd year going in the PRCA?
One of my second NFR.
Okay.
Yeah. And I made it 13th, but I closed it up at Pasadena. But it was like I qualified that year with $65,000 in 2016. I won almost 130 and I was 15th by $200.
Yeah.
Like the game has changed. There's so much money. The guys ride better. The horses are better. It came down to, I just came down to I forget how many rodeos left on my count, but I could double one time. So I doubled Poway, California with Stevensville, Texas. And I was flying to Pasadena and then I just sat and waited for stock at Pasadena and then bought my flights to once I made the decision. And when you double up and you're like, this is going to be great. I'm going to get one good one and one bad one. And I'm just going to go where the good one is. That's the idea.
Yeah.
I just got 2 terrible horses. So I called Caleb. I'm like, dude, what do I do? And he's like, you're not going to like it, but you need to go to Poway, California. Yeah. There's nobody there. That horse is awful, but you'll be fine. It's going to pay off. So I go. It was the scariest arena I've ever been to. Chain link fence, no top rail. So dark. It was darker. It was darker than it was like riding in this lounge. It was wild. And I had a Cullen Pickett horse that he just gave to Salt
Oh,
River because
good.
he's like, this one really doesn't fit my style. Yeah,
That's
no, it doesn't,
terrifying.
Colin. But I was like 5 or something, and I was like, no way,
Yeah.
64 would have done it, guys. But
Yeah.
I'll take it. Let's go. And then the 2 biggest rodeos were Mona and San Bernardino. I'm talking like stuff was just going bad. Like I won second at Poway, I think. I won second at Pasadena, and then Mona, like Broussard, Tanner, who else was on the bubble with us? We're all there, and they just have the nicest bar T hoppers you've ever seen. And I have this little bay horse that just jumped out of the back pin twice because they couldn't load her. And I'm like, what are we doing?
This is good.
And then go to San Bern and get on. I don't even want to say its name in case I actually draw it again. Like it was just terrible. 80 points. And Colton Wiley texts me. I got my gear back. He goes, that was a very big 80-point ride. And he sent me the math on his calculator. And I'm like, I can't be right. Like they haven't put Stephenville in yet. And he's like, it's in there. He did it. I was like, this is nuts. Like, but I didn't let myself believe it until the back numbers came out. Like once the audit was done, no way. Like I remember Tanner called me to congratulate me and I didn't answer it. Paige was like, why didn't you answer that? I was like, I don't want him to tell me that he got me by like $500 in the audit. And sorry, man. But he was just calling to obviously say, go get him. But crazy year. Like it feels so good to be here knowing what I've put in, but also I don't care that I'm like, once in my mind, especially the way it was this year, like with the money, 15th has had a shot, like still does.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's just so much money that I want that. Like now it's just like, can we get the momentum? Like I don't want to finish 15th. Like, getting here 15th is one thing.
Yeah. You just said a guy's won 90 grand already and we're 4 rounds completed.
Yeah.
You win 90 grand and you're within
Top
super
5.
striking distance of a world championship.
Yeah.
And that's can be done in 3 rounds or 4 rounds. And like plenty more left.
As frustrating as it is, like I haven't looked at the average, but I'm good on 4.
Yeah.
Like and that average is a very, very big deal.
Yes.
And to be honest, was my goal this year.
And there's a lot of guys
win the NFR
all
average.
over the place in there.
Yeah. So we're playing really solid on that front.
Well, like Paul said earlier, you guys come in for a 2-header, it's anybody's ball game.
Yeah.
We've got so many young guys, though. It'll be really interesting to see how, if I had to put money on somebody and the longevity of performing at an elite level for 10 days in a row, like there's nobody that has more of an advantage than you with your experience and your riding style. Like you just freaking crush it in the long run. So
let's just go there now. Let's load them. You guys got me fired up.
Well, you see it like Rocker coming down in round 2. We're not even to the E pin yet, and we've got guys coming down, and it just shows the upgrade in the caliber of the horses and taking that 1 pin out and making it a different 1 pin or whatever.
Yeah,
is a huge difference and caters to guys like you because you ride everything really well, like they're saying. I want to talk about, you were saying you went to 65 rodeos or something years ago, or 80 rodeos and qualified, right? Like those not rodeoing in September is done. Like you have to rodeo in September.
And they have it set up now for a finale with Sioux Falls in the playoffs, and
I think it was because those guys checked out at the end. Yeah, they didn't go the last month. They're like, "Where's all the top?"
Like Keenan's like, "You're gonna hit 100," and I was like, "Yeah, because you guys don't stop going to these dang rodeos. Like, can we just chill?"
Yeah, relax,
but
everybody.
Like I said, 65,000. I think I went to 55 rodeos because I didn't start till May that year in 16. When 65,000 was 13th place. I go to 100 this year, 130s, 15th. Like it's just double the money, and
it's insane.
It's
really exciting for the sport.
It's
like,
awesome.
There's no better time to be a professional.
These guys, these rookies, like I had it good. Don't get me wrong.
They have
like
it real good.
But they're gonna have a heck of a career.
Where do you think it's heading? Like the sport as a whole? What do you think it changes? Like we said,
it's going to that.
I like it. I like it. Instant replays new this year.
Yep.
I think that has been needed for the last decade. But it's cool to see them. They overturned a couple calls already. And it's like, okay, we're starting to take the human error out of it, which is so nice. Unfortunately, you can't go back and replay what they typed in the scoreboard, but
Garrett Chapel misses out Weenie, gets backdoored before the whistle, like in the arena.
Yeah.
and they overturned both calls. And so we go in the locker room, and Shad Bolt's over there. I was like, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think so." Like, it just rattled me a little bit, and I was like, "Well, don't be rattled. Like, whatever luck you have, you just missed a horse out, and fell off him, and you still got a score. So like, life is really good for you right now."
I don't know what that says about the judges, but it's bad. Here's a screen in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's there.
No, I mean he didn't like all their overturns were correct.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's so important to have that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just need to get rid of that rule, the mark out rule. I think in my head, I understand it helps and it's been there forever, but the human error and what can it do to a guy's average, especially when you work that hard, and then to have one person's mistake take
they had too much power.
Way too much power and no accountability.
And the cool thing is, like, if I do miss a horse out and they don't see it, that doesn't get reviewed.
Right.
Only when a judge makes a call do they every call they make is going to be reviewed, which is awesome.
That would be shitty if they could go back and be like, "Oh, judges missed.
I missed one out last year. Like, sorry, got away with that one."
It's double-edged sword.
Oh yeah,
100%.
But I mean, like, that's been like the name of the game forever. Is like, you win some, you lose some. Like, you're gonna get away with some with some missed calls, and you're gonna get burned by some that you shouldn't.
Bad calls. Yeah.
And like, that's how it's always been. But I do enjoy like the replay aspect, because like now we are starting to move forward. I feel like
it's good for the fans.
I think it is
man.
too.
It's just going on such a. It's getting too big that it's to the point now that you have to It's just, or you're gonna start losing fans because it's just, we're gonna lose riders too. Like, there's too much money. It's too important. It's too serious now. And like the sport itself is such a tradition-based sport, and it's the way we've always done it. You just said that, like
the good old days.
Yeah, it can still be. You can still take all that tradition with you, but like some things have to evolve.
It's 2024.
It is.
Yeah. We've got to do some stuff differently.
But it is crazy how since 2014 to 2024,
it's wild.
How little it actually has changed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Wild. It's crazy that we have.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same, minus the money added.
Yeah.
Everything else is the same.
Yeah.
Do they have Charlie Daniels doing the opening ceremony? Because that's the only thing that could be different if he's not doing it this year.
I don't know.
It is a little wild. It's nice to see some kind of evolution.
For sure.
But we were talking about accountability and in judging. Do contestants get to? None of you have a problem, or like, what is there any accountability that you can go talk to a director about judges, or how does that all work? So
after the first two rounds, I was like, or three rounds, I was like, Caleb, I know you don't want to, but you need to go in there and do your job.
Yeah.
And he did.
He did.
Yeah. Like, Caleb gets on him for us.
We got to talk with him a good while the other day, and that was the main part of our conversation, was about his job as a director. And you guys are so lucky to have him and someone that has been there and cares about you. And no matter right or wrong or how uncomfortable it makes him, he will go have those conversations with guys. Yeah. Because you saw it for 3 rounds. It messed some guys up. One guy.
44, 39, 39 was like,
huh?
What rodeo are you guys at? Like, it's
the fact that we're at any times 5 points apart on the stock.
Yeah.
Like the rider, I get, okay, one leg's clamped down or whatever, but we have a big problem. Like that day one should have been like, you need to get it together, or we need to find a replacement, because this isn't going to work.
No, and it's one of those things, like, as competitors, like that, you want to talk about just ruining your brain thinking about what those guys don't. That's Caleb's job. And it's a really nice thing, because a lot of years Caleb's been riding here, so he really couldn't, or like that's his job. But also, I don't blame him for not for going in there and
watch out for himself too.
They're human. They're gonna hold on to those things and remember those things, and it can make a difference in a judge sport. Like, you gotta just keep your mouth shut and go ride. Like,
I think that is such an important thing to be said, especially for any young people, athletes listening. You're going to go through these times where you are so frustrated, you could go run their head through a wall, those judges, and you're going to want to do it. You have to not do it, and you cannot let them see that you are.
From experience, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
Let your big brother go and do it for him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel like. I'm like, Caleb, the judges are being mean to me.
Go get them.
Yeah.
Go take care of them. Oh, it's the whole process it's so important. There's so many moving pieces to rodeo, and we were talking about the director. Like there's nowhere to read that tells you what the director should do. There's no like, you're the director. Here's your book. This is what you're gonna have to do. Caleb's like, it took me like trial by.
He's been doing it 8 years, and like he didn't start getting anything done till the 4th year. Like the first 2 years, you just learn, like set pins, figure out the process and all that. Like he's asked me if I want to do it. I'm like, I should, because I've learned a lot from you. Like I kind of get how it works, but I don't know if I want that job.
Yeah.
But I'd finally get to say what I want to the judges. So I don't know.
I think it's important to have a veteran guy in that position, and just because of what we said with Caleb, and like you would be someone again that would not enjoy having those conversations, but you would go make it get done. Yeah. And they need that. Well, that's what like we talked about. If Caleb didn't want to do it again, then it was like me, Tim, Cole. Like Cole's been here for 4 or 5 times. Like Reiner. He's got a brain for it. Tilden, like somebody like that needs to be really the replacement if Caleb's not here. I think Bennett's in. He said if you guys will have him, he's in. Oh, we'll have him. Yeah. I don't think there's anybody in the room that doesn't want him. Like he's just the guy. Yeah. Like since the Cowboy Channel has been a big change since you started coming to these NFRs, right? And it's changed the entire rodeo world. What are you seeing sponsorship wise with the more televised rodeos? Is that something that's helping you guys? Do you see more companies that aren't necessarily involved in rodeo coming into the sport now? And if so, I already know you do, but I want to know why do they want to come work with you and get into the sport? Yellowstone. Okay. That's why. Dude, the Yellowstone effect is big. It's huge. It really is. It's funny, but it's true. Like it's, yes, the Cowboy Channel, people can watch. If you're a rodeo fan, you can watch rodeo every single day. Like that's amazing. Like my dad doesn't have to fly around or drive around every rodeo. Like now he just actually doesn't come. He's like, no, dude, I can sit on my couch and watch this. Like, and like for us, really, it's helped us with the horse. Like it's honestly been a big step up for the reason the horses are better. Clearly, there's more money, so clearly more people are getting involved. But honestly, like the push of all these outside companies, forever it was like the same brands in this industry, like your Giants, and then a couple of Hui was real small back then, like just ball cap company, and now they're a big dog, and there's all these companies like that trade show. Oh, it's crazy! It's crazy. All the stuff in there, like that people want to be in this space, and I mean the sponsorships are obviously gone up since 2014. But I think all the way around, like there's people in the sport now that are making more in endorsements than they are in the regular season, and that's all. Like that's how it's amazing. It should be like that. I'm not that guy. No, somebody is doing that. I know it. Well, social media is a big part too. Like especially these young kids, if they can get a huge audience, their number value goes. Yeah, it's just a different time, which is it's so cool to see and the evolution of it. I forgot where I was going. Turtle Box. So you got all these companies on your shirt have been in rodeo. Turtle Box is brand new to the space anyway. Yeah, why would they? Is it Yellowstone that got them into this? No, they see that. When have you interviewed Sloan yet? He was at Kojo's charity golf yesterday. I didn't get to meet him. I got to meet one of the other guys working, but I thought I was like, "Are you Sloan?" He's like, "No." Gotcha. I think his name was Dave or something like that. Are you having him on? Yeah, he's going to come on our last day, and we're going to really dive into it. But like, did they reach out to you? I've known Sloan because he was at Yeti first. Okay, and then he got the job over there at Turtle Box, and he loved the ranch rodeo aspect of when Yeti did it and the team they built, and he's like, man, I want to do this like so bad. Like I think that like we fit in that space. Like you guys listen to music, and all this stuff. Like you're hard on your equipment. We're hard on our equipment.
Pretty natural progression. Yeah, like it's a really, really good fit. Great product, great guys, but also like it's such a crossover from the outdoor world, like hunting, fishing, camping, whatever, to rodeo. Like it's a no-brainer for so many companies to just come over here
and get involved. Like, it was fun to watch. If you walk through the convention, like Turtle Box has gone around and kind of like handed out a few speakers to set certain
They're
booths.
everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like really
Fenolio
smart
had
move,
2
guys.
of them on top of their booth pointing up, so it legit sounded like surround sound coming down from the roof. It was awesome. Like, and they sound so crisp and clear. I use one in the gym. We use them on the boat all the time.
Yeah, we get in trouble in the locker room because we played. Well, like they'll come in and tell us to like turn it down.
No, make us.
It's usually the music that Rocker's playing, but
Yeah.
more than the
understandable.
volume. But no, it's cool. It's fun to see, like, and I think you're seeing guys stay relevant longer. So your Luke Branquinos, these guys that have Casey Field, like guys that put everything into their career are now stepping into really not a downgrade, like something new, a new challenge, but like great opportunity for guys like that to keep their sponsors past. Like there's the value, they're keeping their value longer, which is comforting.
And it's good to see new faces that they've always been ambassadors for rodeo, but this is a way different way. Casey is a commentator now. Yep. JB is commentating.
Tim's commentating.
Yeah. And they have a huge fan following that they would have otherwise stopped paying attention to, right? And now they get to follow them and even pay attention to more about what they're doing behind the scenes, which is going to help the sport even more because they're going to see.
Yeah, they're even more accessible now. Yeah.
And we've needed a change. And not to be rude, but like we've had the same faces in these positions. Like you said, nothing's changed since 2014. They've been there since 2000.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So to see these new faces is going to help the growth of our sport so much. Just having a younger face out there, people are going to be more attracted to go see and watch. Yep. And then, like you're saying, Yellowstone is a huge effect on the Western excitement, right? In the Western way of life. I was talking to, I forgot who we were talking to last night, but he said, all these people just talk crap about Yellowstone. Who cares if he has his hat on backwards or something? Like they are pointing them to the cowboy way of life. And we can tell them to turn their hat around when we see them and help them out, But like these things, it's like gatekeeping. Yeah. A lot of people in the Western world are gatekeepers and like, you're not cowboy. You can't be here. And I think that's really changing now.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I had the same conversation and I was signing for War Bonnet hats and sitting there. I think I signed like 3 autographs, maybe, like it was tucked in this corner. And we were just talking about like how many hats they brought this year compared to last year, and like double, like I don't know how many, like 1,000 hats or something. And he's like, there's not enough hats in this trade show to put one on everyone's head that walks through that door.
Wow.
And like that's just crazy numbers for one. But he's like, the fact that people get peeved about what hat, is that an American? What is that? Like, just get one.
Yeah.
Like wherever you get it from. Like that's what he said. He's like, I'm just happy making them. Like I'm not trying to be American hats. I want people to wear cowboy hats because cowboy's cool.
Yeah. That's so important, man.
Yeah.
The opportunities that are going to come from the exposure. We've been talking about the industry as a whole, and it's like it's growing. And I think that one of the last things I want to kind of like get your opinion. I think one of the last things to come are these like talk shows and things that are, you have ESPN's First Take, and there's hours of the day devoted to just talking about what took place in the various games the night before. And I feel like that's the next step for us is these, and we're seeing a little bit of it, I think, in some like social media platforms and stuff, but I feel like that's really the next big step is getting more people involved. Competitors, maybe like, Caleb's retired, like some of these guys that get ready to get done to start those shows and kind of continue to broaden the industry. I think
100%. Like you're seeing Teton Ridge do it right now with all their post shows.
I was just going to shout out them
pre-shows.
We're for hire.
But that's a big step. Like it used to be the NFR.
Yeah.
Like that was the televised time. Like now everything is so, and there's just, I don't think we realize how many people actually watch like that. There is a need for that. And I think we all want to see the sport go that way. So everybody's saying yes to these opportunities to, something new podcast, whatever it is, we're all in. and have been, and I feel like there's just finally momentum.
There's a lot of momentum. It's cool to see, man. Dude, they're winning a ton of money.
Can I go play with them?
Yeah, I want to go
It
see
is
what's
hot
going
out there,
on.
and
I want to.
getting fidgety.
Yeah, this money's burning a hole in my pocket. Oh wait, I don't have any money. Hey, moving on here. One piece of advice you would give your rookie self.
Don't smoke the hot end of a cigarette.
All right, you can tell that story now because that's too good.
You tell it. You were there. You
was
remember
there.
it better.
It was your first NFR.
Yeah.
I don't remember what round it was.
Don't get all the sad stuff in there.
Okay.
Just the.
It was an emotional night.
Yeah.
But Richmond had a few too many beverages, and we were smoking Marlboro Lights because of the thing that had happened.
Yeah.
And Richmond couldn't figure out which side he was supposed to smoke. So he's just looking at me, and keeps bringing the cigarette to his mouth, and he hits himself. He probably did this 7 times. And he looks at it, he goes, son of a bitch. And he flips it around, and I'm like, yeah, that's going to hurt in the morning.
Dude,
and he has this appearance at 10 a.m. And he's like, don't let me sleep in. I'm like, all right, I got you. I'm knocking the door at 8. He opens the door, and I forgot. And his whole face, dude, is just blistered.
It wasn't like that.
They're just
bad. It was just like 5 down here. And of course I win that night.
Yeah, you just
the
won
next
the
night.
round.
So I
Yeah.
got a picture with Katie Kaufman down there, and I'm just like freaking burned up.
I remember we got to the show, and the makeup lady's like,
Oh yeah, this is bad.
I don't think I can fix this. And then she literally is fixing it. He's just sweating it off as she's fixing it. And she does this for 20 minutes. And finally she's just like, just go. Like,
We're not going to use your
gonna
pictures
get.
anyway. Yeah.
Oh, good times, Richmond. That was dude, that was a long time ago.
It's 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I almost smoked the wrong side last night.
I was
Hasn't
hoping
changed
that's
it.
what you were gonna say.
Something's
No.
All right. Besides that moment, your favorite NFR moment.
Oh man. Probably, man, 2014 it was my year. Like,
It was your year.
dirty jacket, 5th round, cigarette burn face. Let's go.
Yeah.
I remember it was cool because I'd won Cheyenne on him and had him in the 5th round, win the 5th round, go back there in the Cowboy Lifestyle Network, guys.
Mm-hmm.
There was an artist there, and she had sent me she had done a painting, like fully like on canvas of me, like this abstract of me.
Is that the one in Cheyenne or Calgary?
Yeah, no, it's Cheyenne. It's one hanging up like right when
Yep.
you walk in the house.
Yep.
And then 4 coffee mugs, and like on the back she wrote like of the painting, she wrote like the whole story of why she did this painting and all this stuff. Like it was
cool.
really special. Like I don't think that happens very often in a career. So
Dude, that's really cool.
yeah.
And those mugs.
And I still have the
paintings,
coffee
too.
mugs.
Yeah,
and
no,
the painting.
they're awesome.
But yeah,
What's next, bro?
disco party.
Yeah.
Yeah, tonight.
Feeling good?
That's next.
I mean, we're about to be halfway through, and
Yeah.
we always like talk about 6 through 10 can be a whole different deal,
Oh man,
and
I try to remind myself like
it's really just getting started.
2014, I didn't win a check till the 5th round.
Yep.
So we're good. Like I've had lots of this. I've seen this thing play out so many different ways.
Mhm.
I'm feeling good. I'm sore. I'm tired. I think I'm just age mostly.
Just
like,
old.
like me and Caleb were in the gym the other day, and I was like, do you just feel like Vegas? Like you're just wearing Vegas in your eyeballs right now? And he's like, dude, I'm more tired this year than I've ever been. And I'm like kind of the same. I don't know what that. I think maybe just busy. I guess I don't know.
We have a kid,
But
now.
I feel good. Yeah. I mean, like Paige and Leanne do such a good job of giving me my space. And like, if I need to go to the gym, I need to go to the sauna, whatever I got to do, I can go do it, I would say hanging out with Forrest is actually an upper, you know what I mean? Like getting to spend my morning with him before I go do everything. But yeah, I just I feel like I'm at like after tonight, I'm on the end of the initial, like you're so sore from 5 in a row, 4 in a row. And then by the end, by the 10th round, you're gonna be like, dude, 10 more.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm ready.
warmed up.
Like I'm finally You know, they're getting in. You can come in here in the best shape in the world. You have to get back into riding
You're still
shape.
gonna
Like
be
unless
sore,
you
yeah.
rode a bareback every week leading up to this, which nobody did. Nobody does.
Can't really.
Can't really. You're gonna be sore. Like it's just part of it. And we all are. But like you're sort of like the skin around my ribs is sore. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's all the riding muscles that you're just, you know. I told Caleb, I was like, God, my forearm is killing me. And he's like, I was like, is your rigging any tighter? I'm like, I think I'm just squeezing so hard here, like way harder than I need to. And he's like, well, don't squeeze so hard. I'm like,
Yeah, there's
easy
that.
fix. God, you're good, Caleb.
Yeah.
Genius.
Page 2.0 right there.
Yeah, God, I love that guy. But no, it's good. I'm feeling good. I'm excited. Locker room, like it's such a good group of guys.
vibe's
Like
good.
I'm just every day looking forward to getting down there. That and the 3 Zins for $3 thing. That thing at the arena is pretty sweet.
Dude, I'm about to drive to the arena just for that. And we're excited for you, buddy. Just keep doing what you do these next few rounds, and we'll see you at the South Point.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.